Hi, I'm Lita. I am the resident marketing gal. I'm all about creativity meets data and insights and making that work. And I'm super excited to be delving into really hot topics that are super important for us to get the fundamentals of finance right. I'm incredibly excited to be talking to you about the C of adulting, which is all about credit. And I think we hear the word credit and it's either really scary or really exciting. I think it should be more exciting than scary. So let's break it down into the basics of credit. What is it? Credit's basically the ability to purchase something and to pay it off over time or to just pay for it later. You get different types of credit. You've got credit cards, you've got loans, and in terms of loans, you've got short-term, you've got long-term, you've got fixed loans. It can get really deep and interesting. But what we're talking about today are just the fundamentals, which is how to get good credit and how to keep good credit. So one of the most important things you'll ever really need to know about when it comes to credit is the credit score. What is a credit score? It's basically a dating profile for lenders. Bear with me here. You know when you go swipe right on Tinder or Bumble or something along those lines, you have a bio and you've got your picture and all this information to make you attractive to other people. So pretty much the same thing happens with your credit report and lenders. So your credit report is essentially your profile. You've got who you are, what your behavior's been like in the past. Are you a good risk? Should they be giving you money? Will you pay it back over time? And then the banks say yay or nay, or even other form of lenders. And basically, you've got to make sure that is what you focus on keeping tip top. All right, so what are the most important factors in getting your credit score popping? It is your payment history. Your payment history accounts for about 35% of your credit score. So you've got to make sure that you pay on time, that you make sure you're managing your payments. And if you get that part right, you are well on your way to having a great profile and you'll be able to get all the credit you want. Although, this brings me to my second point. Just because you can get a lot of credit, it doesn't mean you should be using all of it, because they actually look at how much of your credit available that you've used. So if you've got 100,000 Rand worth of credit available, but you've only used 35,000, that's a good sign. It means you're not trying to leverage yourself into a corner. So you've got to be really aware. And I know it can be super tempting to get that credit card and to get really nice things and to keep swiping and you pay a little bit here, you pay a little bit there. But you've got to make smart choices so that you can lend properly when you want to make big investments like buying a house or getting a car or even getting a loan for educational purposes. So you really have to think smart and long term when it comes to credit. There's a couple of other factors that they do look at for your credit score. So that is the type and number of credit accounts that you have. So if you've got a credit card, you've got a home loan, you've got other kind of factors. They look at it. They say, is it a good risk? Is it a bad risk? They also look at how long you've had credit. There's other things that make up your profile for the lenders. But I think what's important to realize is that you've got to look at the factors that you can control and make sure that you don't go into too much debt, that you keep up with your payments, and that you don't over leverage yourself unnecessarily so that you can always have access to credit when you actually need it. So it's really interesting because it's like a great dating profile. The wonderful thing about having an understanding of credit is that you then understand how to use it and why you should be using it. So getting a credit card just to get some nice things, probably not a good idea, but getting a loan for education makes sense. And look, it doesn't mean that you can't splurge here and there, but that's all about saving and investing, which I think Denise has covered pretty well. So if you're curious about what your credit score is, we actually have a great solution at MetGetUp. Just head to www.metgetup.co.za and you can actually get your free credit report and see, are you doing well, aren't you doing well? Which actually brings me to my next point, and this is super interesting. Decoding your credit score. So I'm not going to bore you with the minutia of it, but I'm going to give you the 3 broad categories for you to understand. Are you in a good place or do you need to work on it? So anything above, I think 760 is pretty good. You're in a safe zone. It means you probably aren't going to default. And if you apply for more credit, they're going to give it to you, which is great. Anything in the region of, up to 700, it means you're okay. but you probably aren't going to get as much credit as you'd like. So anything from 300 to about just 600 it's a little bit dire, and you probably should be looking at how you can restructure your credit to make sure that you keep up with your payments, that you get back on track, and you don't default. Remember, the more you default, the worse your score gets, and you can actually improve your credit score by making sure that you get back on track with your payments. So it's never ever a situation where you are not going to be able to get back on track, but in order to make sure that you have any clue of what you're doing, get your credit report first. Make sure you know what your dating profile says about you when it comes to lending. By making sure that you stay on track and you take control of your payments and your credit, you can be a great match for any lender. Remember, it's all a game and you can really have fun with it if you know what you're doing. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're going to be back with some really, really interesting content next week. We're talking all about love and money, one of my favorite topics. So if you have any questions about that and want us to cover them, please let us know below in the comments or just pop us a message. Thanks.